Have you ever been watching a Disney movie and thought, I feel like I've seen this character somewhere before? Don't worry, you're not the first to think that, because Disney, incredibly, is always doing it. Like what happened in Tangled, Rapunzel's film, released in 2010. If you've seen the movie, you know Flynn has a rivalry with Maximus, the horse tasked with capturing the thief. And if we go back to 1997, 13 years earlier, we'll see that Maximus's expression is the same as Pegasus in Hercules, also from Disney. This is because Maximus's design was completely inspired by Pegasus, showing that he is a recycled Disney character, albeit a funny one. This is just the first of many recycled Disney characters you have no idea about. Duke and King. Recently, Disney released the live-action version of The Little Mermaid, a 1989 film that was a huge success in the past. In the wedding scene between Prince Eric and Ursula, disguised as Vanessa, we can see two recycled characters who first appeared in another Disney film. We're talking about these two royal guests on the ship where the fake marriage would have been solemnized, ruining Princess Ariel's life. These same characters, the King and the Duke, are present in Cinderella's film, where they receive more attention towards the end when Prince and Cinderella are finally close to being together. This is a total copy of the characters. Asha. Wish is the film celebrating the 100 years of Mickey Mouse's house, Disney, and being a historic milestone, the film introduced the newest Disney princess, Asha. But if you watched the trailer or the movie and thought, I think I've seen Asha somewhere, don't worry, you're not the only one. That's because it's clear that Disney has been incredibly lazy in recent years to create new characters, and that's why Asha looks like a perfect mix of Isabella and Moana. Isabella Madrigal is one of the beloved characters from Encanto, with the power to control plants, while Moana needs no introduction as the fearless princess of Matanui. And as we mentioned, Asha seems to have a bit of both characters, including Isabella's outfit style and colors, and Moana's adapted appearance. Ethan, Strange World. Recently, Disney has been releasing films that haven't been very successful at the box office, and one of them is definitely Strange World, a film that didn't excite much despite being an entertainment option for a Sunday afternoon. And one of the coolest characters in the film is Ethan, the son of the protagonist, the Searcher. But the few people who watched the film looked at Ethan and felt they had seen the boy somewhere. That's because Ethan is basically a younger and dimensionally different version of Wasabi. Remember him? Wasabi is one of the protagonists of Big Hero 6, a great Disney film released in 2014. The styles of the two characters are very similar, and it's clear that Ethan was inspired by Wasabi. Jerry. Disney fans, especially the older ones, will remember a fun 1997 Pixar short film called Jerry's Game. In it, we see a very creative elderly man named Jerry playing chess against himself. Jerry was so successful that he was reused 2 years later in Toy Story 2, where he plays the role of the expert in refurbishing and improving old toys, hired to upgrade Woody after he is figuratively kidnapped by that toy collector. That was a cool move by Disney at the time. Dog. Strange World. Everyone knows there are some rules for making a Disney movie. One of them is to have a pet, which is very cool. But it's strange when Disney can't even be creative enough to create a pet character and start reusing designs from other films. This is the case with Legend, a three-legged dog belonging to the Clade family in the film. Now tell me if he doesn't look a lot like Prince Eric's dog from the original 1989 Little Mermaid movie. The resemblance between the two pets from the two films is evident, despite nearly 40 years difference between the animations. Despite these not-so-good recent Disney films, we hope that new and good films from Disney will be released soon. And to attract good omens of this kind, comment below #Disney to see if we get lucky and see new and good films from the company soon. Name: Strange World. Still talking about the 2022 film, we found another aspect that was shamelessly reused, but it's not necessarily a character. The design used in the movie's title. And we're not talking about the title itself, but the design used in it. The same style of the movie's title has also been used in two Disney productions, in DuckTales, both in the 1987 version and the 2019 one. Besides them, the same name style was also used in all Indiana Jones films, which became part of Disney's catalog after the company made a deal with George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. But the truth is, despite the design being inspired by these two excellent Disney franchises, the title of Weird World still manages to be a bit worse. Really, they didn't get it right in this one. Darby Lightyear. Speaking of recent Disney films that were not acclaimed by either the public or critics, we also have Lightyear, which was supposed to tell the unforgettable origin story of one of the greatest animated characters, Buzz. And within the film, we can see that there is a character who looks a lot like someone we've seen somewhere. This character is one of the crew members of the Intrepid Hero. We're talking about Darby, the pessimistic clown who is, so to speak, a volunteer for the Zap Patrol. If you look closely at Darby's facial features, you'll notice that the character's face shape is quite square, and her nose is slightly larger proportionally to her face than that of other characters. Besides, of course, her hair is completely white. As we mentioned, she is a clown. If you go back 13 years, you might remember one of Pixar's best films, Up. In it, we have Carl, that grumpy and cranky old man that everyone ends up liking in the end. And if we notice, we'll realize that the two characters have similar traits and resemble each other quite a bit. This indicates that Disney is indeed going through a creativity crisis, and creating new characters from scratch has become increasingly rare. Alicia Lightyear. Alicia is also another important character in 2022's Lightyear. She is none other than Buzz's chief, as well as a space patroller and his personal friend. In this case, we can say that she is practically a copy of another character from another Disney production, but not exactly in animation. We're talking about Maria Rambeau, a colleague from Carol Danvers' Air Force, Captain Marvel. Anyone who watched Captain Marvel and then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness saw the character appear a few times, including with Captain Marvel's mantle in another dimension. Now tell me if it's not clear that Alicia is a character totally based on Maria Rambeau. This definitely characterizes another recycled character. Little John, Robin Hood. Now, let's go back a little in the past and see a character who was 100% reused between two Disney films released with a 6-year difference. In 1967, in the film The Jungle Book, we meet the friendly and lazy Baloo, the bear friend of Bagheera and Mowgli himself, who just wants to enjoy life without many commitments. But if you watch Robin Hood, released in 1973, you'll think that the same Baloo was cast to play Little John, Robin's loyal friend in this other film. That's because, aside from the slight difference in fur color between the two characters, as Little John's tone is brown and Baloo's is more gray, we can say that it's exactly the same character. In this one, Disney really reused practically the entire character, no doubt. Goliath! Few people know Disney's 1960 15-minute short film called Goliath 2, which tells the story of a tiny elephant named exactly Goliath 2. This little-known film, despite not being very famous, had several scenes and even characters that inspired other Disney films. One of them is Raja the Tiger, who actually served as a design inspiration for the creation of the unforgettable Shere Khan we see in the Jungle Book, only in a much better and well-made version. But the artists themselves claim that using the idea and concept of Raja, who in Goliath 2 just wanted to eat elephant meat, to finish Shere Khan's art, the terrible tiger who wants to end Mowgli. In addition to these two villains, there's also a scene in the Disney short film that was practically copied and pasted into Mowgli as well. It's the scene where we have a sort of log jam of a herd of elephants in the middle of the jungle. The scene is exactly identical to what we see happening with Colonel's group and his elephant soldiers in Mowgli. In this one, Disney went for the good old Control-C and Control-V. These were some more characters that Disney reused from one film to another, which many people had never noticed. To keep enjoying quality content, we've selected these two amazing videos for you to watch. The one on the right is really good.